This 2024 MLB playoffs have been absolutely wild.
Swinging a drive towards the gap in right center. It's pretty deep. It's back near the wall. It's gone. It's gone. Francisco Lindor.
With teams pulling off unbelievable feats and shocking upsets along the way.
Against Aaron Nola. And high in the air to right field, pretty deep. Castellanos back at the track, at the wall. It is gone. He hit it off the facing of the second deck, the Coca-Cola corner. Another opposite.
Some teams have made history, while others have crumbled in ways nobody could have predicted.
Yeah, and the truth is, if you have great stuff, you can challenge over the white part of the plate a little bit more and let your stuff just play. If you don't, you better figure out.
Oh, no! Oh, my goodness, the White Sox have just gone full White Sox.
It's been quite a roller coaster ride, but that's hardly surprising. It's the playoffs after all. It doesn't matter if you're rooting for the Yankees, Dodgers, Mets, Guardians, or any team. There's been plenty of action to keep you glued to the screen. But how did everything happen? How come this year seems like one of the most unpredictable yet? Who has the best chance of winning? Join us as we explore the unpredictable and downright crazy moments from the 2024 MLB Playoffs. It all started with the anticipation of seeing some of the most dominant teams in recent memory make their mark on the postseason, with fan-favorite squads like the Atlanta Braves, Los Angeles Dodgers, and Houston Astros stacked with talent. It felt like the playoffs were set to follow the script, but what's the fun in that, right? Before the first ball of the wild card series, you could feel the tension building. No one could have predicted how this game would go. And as we've seen over many years of playoff baseball, anything can happen. Starting things off, the wild card round was great from the start. Teams that just barely made it into the playoffs were not only still living, but doing very well. Let's look at the Miami Marlins. They weren't exactly seen as major contenders by everyone. Even though they had a good season, everyone thought they would be eliminated early. The Marlins, on the other hand, had other ideas. They caught fire at the right time, showing how talented and tough they are for their age. As fans watched players like Jazz Chisholm Jr. and Luis Ariz step up, hit home runs in important moments, and make plays that seemed impossible.
On that right field line.
Crumbled. Here he swings and hits the ball in the air, powered with some authority. Left field, Harrison's back, looking up, it's gone!
They were on the edge of their seats. Then there was the Texas Rangers. With a full season of ups and downs and a few serious injuries, it didn't look like they would make the playoffs. But, as they always do in the playoffs, they came alive. We were all shocked by how well the team played against the Tampa Bay Rays, especially Nathan Eovaldi's great throwing.
Eovaldi working quickly, and a swing and a miss. He gets Paredes his first strikeout of the afternoon.
During the season, Eovaldi had both good and bad games. But when it mattered most, he put on shows that showed everyone that anything can happen in October baseball. The Texas Rangers made their series into a fight. Another level was reached by Adolis Garcia, who hit several home runs and drove in many runs. The Rangers looked like they were going to score every time they came up to bat. Garcia's play was like something from a video game. His bat could not be stopped, and he made it clear that he wanted to make a difference for Texas.
Comes a 2-2, and it was a splitter, and that one lifted deep out to left center field, carrying well, and it is gone!
The American League Division Series between the Tigers and the Guardians also got things going. Tarik Skubal had just finished a great season by winning the AL pitching Triple Crown, so people had very high hopes for Skubal, and he lived up to them. But Skubal wasn't on the mound when the ninth inning came around. Guardians closer Emmanuel Clase was the center of attention. With a 0.61 ERA, he had been unbeatable all season. Basically, the guy was a human cheat code.
Game 2, another 2-2. Got him! Swing and a miss!
Things don't always go as planned in the playoffs, though. When there were 2 outs in the ninth, Clase gave up a pair of singles, putting Tigers DH Kerry Carpenter at bat. And then Carpenter hit a 3-run homer that made Tigers fans go crazy.
Moments too throughout the year.
Runner goes, pitch is swung on, a high fly ball to right field. This one is gonna fly!
Clace had only given up 2 home runs all season, and Carpenter made sure his third was one to remember. There are times like these when we remember why we love baseball in the postseason. Anyone can be a hero. Also, don't think that was a coincidence. The Mets-Brewers wild card series was another example of a closer giving up when things got tough. With a 2-0 lead in Game 3, the Brewers were only 3 outs away from moving on. Here comes Devin Williams, Milwaukee's reliable closer who had been great all season. The Mets, on the other hand, had other plans. Alonso stepped up and hit a 3-run home run which shocked Williams and turned the game on its head.
3-1 to Alonso. Williams sets. Here's the pitch. Swinging a fly ball to right field. Pretty well hit. Frelick back at the wall. He jumps. It's gone. He did it.
The Mets scored 4 more runs in the inning, which was enough to beat the Brewers and move on to the next round. So far, we've seen 2 of the most dominant closers in the game, Clace and Williams, fall apart when it meant most. That's the playoffs for you, where even the best can get rattled. Speaking of the Mets, they've had a great season so far. At the beginning of the season, they were 22-33 and didn't look like they would make it to October. But as soon as they got there, chaos broke out. In the first game, they played the Brewers in the wild card series. Then, things got really exciting in the division series against the Phillies. In Game 1, Zach Wheeler shut out the Mets for several innings, giving his team a 1-0 lead. But just when it looked like the Phillies were going to win, the Mets scored 5 runs in the 8th inning. It was a momentum shift that had the Mets come alive. Game 2 was even more crazy. The Mets led 4-3 heading into the 8th inning. However, we know that in these games, no lead is safe. The Phillies stormed back with 3 runs in the bottom of the inning to take a 6-4 lead, only for the Mets to tie it again in the 9th on a Mark Vientos 2-run blast. It wasn't enough though, because Nick Castellanos walked it off with an RBI single in the bottom of the 9th. In 4 straight playoff games for the Mets, they've become the team that goes ahead after the 8th inning loss. The Elias Sports Bureau said that had never happened in the history of the playoffs. But with the Mets involved, anything can happen. With the wild card team showing what they could do, it was time for the big boys to enter the ring. Things began to get really crazy in the division series. People thought the Atlanta Braves, who were probably the best baseball team during the regular season, would easily beat their opponents. These guys had a powerful attack, with Ronald Acuna Jr. and Matt Olson in charge. They could hit, and hit some more. Also, don't forget about their pitching staff. It was just as scary for other teams. But now comes the first twist. The Philadelphia Phillies played the Braves. This is a team that loves to mess up other teams in the playoffs. As soon as the Phillies found a way to stop Atlanta's powerful lineup, this game became a must-see on TV. Zach Wheeler was a monster on the field. He mowed down Braves batters and threw them off balance with dirty pitches. At the same time, Bryce Harper hit one of the most important home runs of the playoffs, which made the Phillies fans go into a frenzy. Harper always seems to step up his game in October. People used to think the Braves were unbeatable, but now they were in trouble. Meanwhile, it wasn't just the Braves who got caught off guard. The Los Angeles Dodgers, who were also a very good team, were in danger of losing early in the series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. The D-backs did a great job of sweeping the wildcard games, and they didn't stop there. When they played the Dodgers, their young core led by Corbin Carroll and Zach Gallen really stepped up. Who would have thought that a team that boasted Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman would be pushed to the brink by a squad like Arizona? The Diamondbacks showed no fear. Carroll and other players who hadn't played much in the playoffs played as if the moment wasn't too big for them, making jaw-dropping catches in the outfield and hitting home runs at the right time. This was the 3rd consecutive year of the Dodgers' disappointing performance in the postseason. October appears to have some type of curse on them, even with their star strength and regular season supremacy. Dodgers fans could only watch as their season collapsed far earlier than anyone had predicted. The Arizona Diamondbacks is such an interesting story, not just because of how well they played on the field, but also because of how tough they are. There was nothing that could stop them. When they fell, they got back up stronger. the Diamondbacks seemed like a team that would win the NLCS by the time they got there. But there was a surprise candidate in the American League as well. The Baltimore Orioles went into the playoffs with a chip on their shoulder after a great regular season. They finally had a team that could compete after years of putting it back together. It was thrilling to see Baltimore's young stars like Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman handle the stress of the playoffs. You could see the team's future happening right in front of your eyes. It was clear that they would be a force for years to come. There's been one trend that runs through the 2024 MLB playoffs, and it is that no lead is safe. One of the biggest stories so far is the Los Angeles Dodgers, who shocked everyone by beating the New York Mets 10-5 to win the National League Championship Series (NLCS). Shohei Ohtani, their new superstar, was a big part of their success. Even though they had key players like Freddie Freeman with injuries during the season, the Dodgers showed they could bounce back. What Ohtani did was nothing less than amazing because of how well he hit the ball and how easily he got on base. He lived up to the record-setting deal. Also, Tommy Edman, who joined the team in the middle of the season, hit the key home run in Game 6 that sent the Dodgers to their first World Series since 2020. It wasn't that the Mets were weak either. After all, they came back from a rough start to the season to make it to the NLCS. Even though Pete Alonso's attack kept the Mets in the game, the Dodgers' bullpen and timely hitting were just too much for New York. Now everything is ready for an epic World Series matchup. The Dodgers should play the New York Yankees, a matchup that baseball fans have been waiting years for, especially with Ohtani and Betts leading the way this year. This will also be the 12th time that these two famous teams will face off in the Fall Classic. With Aaron Judge and Ohtani going head-to-head, one can already feel the tension building as these two home run powerhouses prepare to battle. One thing that is certain is that the 2024 MLB playoffs still have more drama and moments that we will never forget. Let us know what you think of the MLB playoffs in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. October has been crazy, and we'll be here for the whole thing. See you in the next video.